In 1918, a royal family was dragged into a basement and executed in cold blood. But one body was missing for decades. Grand Duchess Anastasia's survival became the world's most haunting mystery until a woman appeared claiming to be her. Was she the lost princess or the greatest imposter in history? Subscribe and support Dark Decoded X, 2 deep investigations every week. Share where you're watching from in the comments. Seeing our growing community from around the world always brings me purpose. Now, let the investigation begin. The basement where royalty died. The Bolshevik Revolution of 1917 shattered Imperial Russia. Tsar Nicholas II legacy crumbled as his family was imprisoned, isolated, and humiliated. On that July night, 11 people were ordered into the Ipatiev House basement under the pretense of safety. Instead, they faced a firing squad. Bullets tore through bodies, bayonets finished what guns didn't. Blood pooled on the floor. Jewels sewn into the daughters' corsets deflected some bullets, prolonging their agony. The youngest children screamed. Alexandra tried to shield her daughters. Nicholas died first, falling to his knees before collapsing. The executioners were drunk, shaking and firing wildly in the smoke-filled room. When it was over, the Bolsheviks burnt, disfigured, and buried the bodies in unmarked graves. They poured acid on the faces to prevent identification. They stripped them of dignity even in death. But decades later, 2 bodies were still missing, Romanov bodies, and one belonged to a young girl. Somewhere in that chaos, a myth was born. A whisper started spreading through Europe like wildfire. The world began to wonder, did Anastasia escape? The woman who claimed the throne. 1920. Berlin. A woman was pulled from a canal after a suicide attempt. She refused to speak, refused to give her name. Her body was covered in scars. Some looked like knife wounds, others like burns. Then, in a psychiatric ward, she whispered 6 words that changed everything. I am Grand Duchess Anastasia. She had scars. She had trauma. She knew intimate details about the Romanov family that shouldn't have been public. Pet names, private jokes, the layout of rooms no outsider should know. Emigres were summoned. Some believed her instantly, weeping at her bedside. Others recoiled in horror, calling her a demon wearing a dead girl's face. She called herself Anna Anderson Imposter, though she insisted she was royalty. Her eyes were haunted. Her voice trembled when she spoke of that basement. For decades, she fought in courts across Europe, demanding recognition, inheritance, and her stolen throne. She lived in poverty, clinging to a crown that might never have been hers. The legal battles drained her, the accusations broke her. But who was she really? A traumatized survivor, or a master manipulator who weaponized grief? Too many secrets, too few answers. Anna Anderson knew things, private nicknames, childhood memories, palace layouts, details that felt impossible for a stranger to know. She spoke Russian, badly, haltingly, as if the language itself was traumatic. She had physical traits that matched Anastasia's, a distinctive bunion, similar facial structure, scars in places where Anastasia had been injured as a child. But she also had gaps, massive gaping holes in her memory. She couldn't recall key events that Anastasia would never forget. Her handwriting didn't match. Her ear shape was different. Forensic experts were divided, battling each other in courtrooms and academic journals. Romanov survivors were split down the middle. Some embraced her, desperate to believe the nightmare had a survivor. Others called her a fraud, a vulture feeding on tragedy. The Anastasia Romanov mystery became a legal circus. Court cases dragged on for decades, consuming fortunes and destroying reputations. She married. She moved to America. She lived as royalty in exile, always one step away from validation. And all the while, the real truth was buried in a forest outside Yekaterinburg. Decomposing in silence, waiting to be unearthed. The dead were patient. The living were not. The grave that refused to stay hidden. 1991. The Soviet Union collapsed. Secrets spilt out like blood from a wound. A grave was discovered near Yekaterinburg, exactly where Bolshevik records said the Romanovs were buried. 9 bodies, bullet wounds, acid burns. Skeletal remains tangled together in a mass of decay. Tsar Nicholas II legacy was confirmed through forensic analysis. His wife, 3 daughters, the staff who died beside them. But 2 were missing, Alexei, the heir, and 1 daughter. Was it Anastasia? The world held its breath. DNA evidence results were tested, retested, analyzed by labs across multiple countries. But the missing Romanov bodies kept the mystery alive, breathing oxygen into dying conspiracy theories. Anna Anderson died in 1984, still claiming her throne, still insisting she was the lost princess. Her supporters said the incomplete grave proved she escaped and that the Bolsheviks lied about killing everyone. Her detractors said it proved nothing yet. The forest kept its secrets. The bones whispered truths no one wanted to hear. And somewhere between science and desperation, the world waited for an answer that would destroy a beautiful lie. Science spoke, and the truth was brutal. 1994. Researchers exhumed Anna Anderson's remains, tissue samples preserved from a hospital surgery decades earlier. They ran DNA evidence results against living Romanov descendants, comparing genetic markers with scientific precision. The results were definitive, undeniable, devastating. Anna Anderson was not Grand Duchess Anastasia survival. She was Franziska Szankowska, a Polish factory worker who disappeared in 1920, the same year Anna appeared in Berlin. The Anna Anderson imposter had fooled the world for 64 years, constructing an identity from stolen memories and desperate hope. But the story didn't end there. In 2007, another grave was found in that cursed forest. 2 more bodies. Burnt beyond recognition but identifiable through DNA, Alexei and the missing daughter. Final DNA tests confirmed it. All 11 victims of the Romanov family execution were accounted for. Anastasia died in that basement. No one escaped. No fairy tale ending. Just bullets, acid, and shallow graves. The myth died harder than the girl ever did. Courts closed their files, believers became silent, and the woman who wore Anastasia's name was finally exposed as a ghost wearing stolen skin. Why the world needed her to survive? Why did the Anastasia Romanov mystery endure for so long? Because the truth was unbearable. A teenage girl bayoneted and burnt was too horrific to accept, too dark for a world already drowning in violence. So the world created a fairy tale, a survivor story, a redemption arc for an irredeemable tragedy. Books romanticized her survival, painting escape routes through underground tunnels that never existed. Hollywood turned her into a heroine, giving her a happy ending history denied. Even the lost princess facts were twisted into hope, rewritten to comfort rather than confront. Anna Anderson wasn't just an imposter, she was a mirror. She reflected our desperate need for happy endings in a century drenched in blood. The Bolshevik Revolution 1917 didn't just kill a family. It killed innocence. It murdered the idea that royalty was untouchable and that children were sacred. And we've been trying to resurrect it ever since, building myths on mass graves. But history doesn't care what we need. It doesn't bend to our emotional demands. It only cares about what happened. And what happened was murder, cold, final, without mercy. World sold her death as a bedtime story. Anastasia Nikolaevna Romanova was 17 when she died in the Ipatiev House basement. She loved photography. She played pranks on her siblings. She was witty, rebellious, and deeply human. She wrote letters filled with hope even as the walls closed in around her family. But her humanity was erased by bullets. Her suffering was prolonged by the jewels sewn into her clothes. Meant to protect wealth, they only delayed her death, turning her into a living target that wouldn't fall. She bled slowly. She died afraid. She wasn't a mystery, she was a victim. The legacy of Tsar Nicholas II collapsed around her, and she paid the price for his failures, for his arrogance, for his refusal to see the revolution coming. The world turned her into a ghost story, a symbol, a commodity to be bought and sold in books and films. Her face became a brand. Her death became entertainment, but she was never lost. She was murdered. And for 89 years her bones lay in unmarked dirt while impostors claimed her throne, while strangers profited from her corpse, while the world refused to let her rest. Her bones were found, but her ghost still sells. 2008. The Romanov family was finally laid to rest together in St. Petersburg's Peter and Paul Cathedral. Anastasia's remains were identified through meticulous forensic work. The missing Romanov bodies were complete. The family were reunited in death after 90 years of separation. The Russian Orthodox Church canonized them as martyrs, saints forged in violence. The Grand Duchess Anastasia survival myth was officially dead, buried alongside her bones, but even now, conspiracy theories linger like ghosts that refuse exorcism. Documentaries rehash old claims, giving oxygen to corpses that should stay buried. The Anna Anderson imposter still has defenders online, believers who reject DNA evidence results because the truth is too painful. Some refuse to accept science. They cling to the fantasy because reality is unbearable. Because myths are harder to kill than monarchies. Anastasia didn't survive. She never escaped, but her ghost still walks through our collective imagination. Proof that even in death, the Romanovs couldn't escape their curse. The basement still echoes, the forest still remembers, and somewhere, a teenage girl is still screaming. If this investigation left you speechless, like, subscribe, hit that bell, share it with someone who needs to see this, and don't miss the next chilling documentary waiting on the end screen. The lost princess was never lost. She was silenced, erased. And when the world finally found her, it refused to let her rest. We cling to mysteries because the truth is too cruel. But Anastasia wasn't a fairy tale. She was a girl who died screaming in a basement, and history owes her silence.